Good afternoon and welcome back to the weekly recap show here for Trailblazer Athletics. I'm Dan Wohler here with Assistant Athletic Director Jeff Polari. Jeff, how are you?
Good, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing very well, Jeff, and it was another very busy week for Trailblazer Athletics. 6 straight home games for men's and women's soccer and then women's volleyball. But let's begin now with men's soccer. So they dropped a lone MASCAC game 2-1 against Worcester State. Really big game.
Yeah, it was an important game for MCLA, and we did jump out to an early 1-0 lead, and then kind of fell, giving up a couple of goals, one late in the first half and one in the second half to ultimately spell our doom. But certainly a big, important game, as they all are this time of year.
And the game got off to a very strong start with Anthony Basile scoring off of a free kick for the Trailblazers, really to get the momentum building.
Yeah, nice to see Anthony kind of starting to take some shape a little bit and really be an offensive force. You can see him here lining up to take a free kick, just kind of hits a bounding ball here that gets into the lower right corner. Getting MCLA off to an early 1-0 start, but like I said, Worcester came back with a goal late in the first half and then took the lead late in the second. So it was a little difficult to see that.
Yeah, Worcester State rallying back right away with those 2 goals. And then MCLA with a great chance to tie it later on, but just not happening for the Trailblazers.
Trying to pull the home crowd and trying to get another opportunity to really tie that thing up late. We had a great chance to score. You can see here a nice cross going into the box right off the goalkeeper's chest. And it looked like a good opportunity that got blocked here to try to knot up the game. And ultimately, that was in the final, I think, 45 seconds. So that was our really last great opportunity to tie that score up and move us forward.
And the men's soccer team went into that game undefeated in the MASCAC. So let's take a look now at the MASCAC standings to see where they lie.
Yeah, MCLA is still in a strong spot in the standings, 2-1-1. You can see we're in a 3-way tie here for second. Things are really bottling up here at the top, and MCLA's got a lot of key matchups still to play here. So a lot of soccer left to be played, and like I said, they're in a pretty good position heading into their final 3 league games of the season.
Right, and now on to women's soccer. They just fell to Western New England 3-0 in the last game they played.
Yeah, the last home game they played last Wednesday at Shoecraft Field, 3-0 decision to Western New England. It was just kind of more of the same, lack of offensive push. Western New England got a couple of goals past Megan Richardson early on. You can see here a great cross coming in, gets Richardson just a little bit going to her left, and they just boot it home to the lower right. She's been under fire all year long, and ultimately we just couldn't mount enough offense to take care of the Golden Bears.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Meg Richardson being under fire so much this season, recording so many saves for the sophomore goalkeeper, she's really been that linchpin in the back line for the Trailblazers.
Yeah, and it kind of held true again with a game against Worcester State over the weekend, which we dropped 1-0. You can see her coming off the line here to make a great punch save off of a corner kick. But couldn't get any offense going. She's been facing 20-plus shots a night. So she's been great keeping us in some ball games here early on. But like I said, it's tough to win when we're not putting the ball in the back of the net.
Right, and the women's soccer team losing on the road to Worcester State 1-0 on Saturday.
Yeah, and again, just more of the same. Lack of offense. Lancers pretty much controlled possession throughout. Still in search of their first MASCAC win. We do have a tie against Bridgewater State. But some key matchups, and like I said, similar to the men's side, we've got a lot of soccer left to be played as they try to position themselves for the MASCAC playoffs.
And speaking of the MASCAC playoffs, in those games, we'll take a look at the MASCAC current standings to see where the Trailblazers are.
Like I said, MCLA 0-3-1 here with just a single point, but some games looming. Mass Maritime, Framingham, Fitchburg still left on the schedule,
Sure.
So some opportunities to move up in the standings, and hopefully they can get into that top 6 and claim a spot towards the postseason.
We'd love to see that. And the women's volleyball team went 1-3 on the week. They began with a loss to Sage and to Keene State early on.
Yeah, the volleyball team finally returned to the campus center, which was nice. They opened up a 6-match homestand with a tough result against Sage on Tuesday night. Keene State came in on Thursday night, more of the same. Actually played really well. Dropped a 5-setter to Keene, which was a back-and-forth match. And then heading into the weekend, we split a tri-match, took care of Johnson State quite handily in the opener, and then came back against Wells and ultimately fell 3-2. You can see here a great rally kill there by Rebecca Godbout, who's been playing really well of late as well for MCLA. So nice to see them kind of get their feet wet at home, and they've got a very important matchup coming on Tuesday night.
And Allison Clark continues to hit her stride during the pivotal home stretch right here.
Yeah, Allison's had another really strong week. She's really attacking the ball really well on the front. She's also collecting a bunch of digs on the back line, and really just seems poised to have a great finish to what is her senior season. So it's nice to see her continuing to lead this team as they move forward.
And as they move forward, MCLA gets ready for another MASCAC game. So with that, we'll take a look at where the women's volleyball team lies in the conference.
Yeah, it's again, it's a little bit of an odd MASCAC schedule for the volleyball team. They're currently at 1-1 in the standings. They haven't played a conference match in quite some time, but they've got Framingham State on Tuesday night, which is a rematch of the 2015 championship game here in the campus center. So should be a great atmosphere and an opportunity for MCLA to make some noise as they move forward in the conference.
Right, and now on to the golf and cross country programs who competed over the last weekend.
Yeah, so the golf program actually hosted a rare a head-to-head matchup with Sage yesterday at Berkshire Hills Country Club. Cold, wet, dreary day in the Berkshires, but MCLA came out on top quite handily. I believe the final margin was 338, 332. I think the Trailblazers shot to win quite handily over Sage. Nick Bader, first-year student, led the team, was the medalist on the day. So it was great to see them all get some action and play a home match. Cross-country programs went down to Westfield State for the James Early Invite, which is an annual event for us, and they both competed as well. Some good performances there. Avery Woodbury led the men's side. Annie Gagnon led the women's side. So nice to see them continue to move on in their season, and hopefully their times are improving as they get into the championship stretch.
And now on to women's tennis. The all-conference players were announced.
Yeah, so women's tennis, as we spoke about in our last recap show, ultimately came up just shy of making the postseason. However, the postseason honors did start to flow in, and we were fortunate that Marisa Svakianaki and Emily Diazzo were named first-team doubles competitors for the NAC, the All-Conference Awards, and Marisa was also a second-team singles competitor for the NAC. So great to see them get the accolades that they deserve, and they had some really solid seasons on both sides, singles and doubles play.
And now we'll look ahead to the full slate of games for next week. We'll begin with women's soccer.
Women's soccer will be on the road midweek with a non-league match at Nichols, and then they're home to Mass Maritime Academy on Saturday, which is should be a nice crowd as part of reunion and fall family weekend. So hopefully they'll get on board with a victory over the Buccaneers this Saturday.
And the men's soccer team as well, facing off against the Bucks.
Men's soccer's got a non-leaguer first later this afternoon at SUNY Poly. Great chance for them to get on the road and get out of league for a little bit. And then they will face a very difficult task and a very important match Friday night. Mass Maritime's unbeaten in league play, currently at 3-0-1. So again, as we talked about briefly on the men's soccer side, a great opportunity for them to make some noise and set a statement to the rest of the league Friday night.
And now for volleyball, you alluded to the big match, the big rematch between Framingham State and MCLA.
Yeah, really big week in the volleyball program. Like I said, Framingham State comes to town. A battle of probably the top two players in the league, Alicia Ratcliffe for Framingham, Allison Clark for MCLA, squaring off a little bit head-to-head, as I said, a rematch of the 2015 championship game. And also Thursday will mark Senior Day for the volleyball program in a non-league match against St. Joseph's. So very important week for the Trailblazers, and hopefully they can continue some solid play of late and get a pair of W's.
Sure. And now for the cross-country teams.
Cross-country is going to head to Western New England. This is kind of the middle meet. They usually go 3 straight, so this is the middle meet after a week off. So they'll be prepared to run down at Western New England this weekend.
And golf has a big championship ahead.
Yeah, golf will wrap up their fall campaign with the 2-day NAC championships all the way up in Bangor, Maine, hosted by Husson. So it'll be a good opportunity for them. They've had a much improved season with a bunch of new players, so it'll be important for them to take that step forward, and hopefully they'll place pretty high in the NAC championships this weekend.
Sure. And as you mentioned earlier, Jeff, this coming weekend, fall and reunion weekend, fall family weekend, and also some things going on for athletics.
Yeah, a lot lot going on for athletics. We got the annual alumni games for baseball and softball this weekend. We got home soccer, but ultimately the highlight will be the Hall of Fame induction ceremony of the class of 2016. You can see we have a great class: Jessica Tegens, Bill Fitzpatrick, Morales Lewis, Amy Strand, Eddie Pierce, all going into the Hall of Fame. Tegens is probably familiar to some of our audience here. She is the all-time leading scorer in the women's soccer program, led the team to a regular season conference championship. She's kind of the headliner, but all in all, a very fantastic class going into the Hall of Fame. Registration is open and available to the public for anybody that's interested in attending. It should be a very memorable night and a memorable weekend for all of our alumni.
Sure, we look forward to it. And fans watching at home, for all things Trailblazer Athletics, make sure to follow us on all of our social media pages. For myself and Jeff Polari, I'd like to thank you for watching.